Here are a set of parts that we'll need for our IG-11 head. We got 3 plugs from Lowe's. We got a block of wood for some parts that we'll make out. It's going to be real simple. Don't worry about it. Don't get a tizzy. It's going to be simple wood cuts. We got a 6x8 inch reducer, and we have a flex pipe connector, 8 inch over here. This is a horn from Party City. These metal parts are all available at Lowe's. These 2 Party City. This is probably, you can find out under your bed or in the garage. And these 3 plugs are, of course, from Lowe's. Don't forget this plastic tubing over here. This is basic plastic tubing, 3/4 inch shark bite tubing. Costs like about $3 or $4 for this length of about 4 feet. Pretty cheap stuff. It was about the right size and the right thickness and consistency of what we need for this head. Let's rock. The one thing I like about this is, yeah, it's all made of metal. Watch out for the sharp edges, but there's nothing like a robot head in metal. It's got to be metal, mostly metal, partially metal. At least it's got some metal in it. Okay, from this block, cut 2 blocks of wood. These are basically about 1 inch square blocks. Mine aren't too accurate, but they're good enough to do the job. From this 3/4 inch tubing, you cut some sections now. We want 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/2 inch long, and 2 1/2 inches long. These are the parts you'll need for the head. I finally located the most important piece of the whole project, which is a special Blanco series lipless bowl from IKEA. Okay, this is important because it has an undercut lip over here and it's folded over so you don't have any ridges on the outside. This is going to be perfect for old chrome domes, top of the head. Let's go. Next, we take the plastic horn from Party City and we create surgery on it. One bucket from Michael's, usually about 40% off or so. This will do the trick for the base of IG-11. Cut it right about the 3rd rung up. Use tin snips to cut it right around that 3rd ring, as I said. Tin snips are great, also known as whisk snips. Here it is. I just landed 2 buckets from Michael's. Remember this one and this one over here. So this one over here I was able to use as is. It's got a nice brim over here. It's got some ridges, but that's okay. This one's a beauty. This has the ridges just like on the bottom of IG-11's head. I just had to trim about 2 inches off on top and we're all set. Okay, as you can see, just tack on here and there, very little current, a little bit of welds on the flex pipe. over here and where you make the junction to the stainless steel bowl. Okay, just a few little tacks. It's very thin material, you don't want to weld through it. Just a few tacks to hold it on, it'll be nice and solid. Okay, using a picture of IG, draw in about 3/4 of an inch diameter holes with a magic marker just briefly over there. And then you can put them in about, from the scale, it looks like the scale of this robot is going to be about 2-inch centers between these holes and approximately 1.5 up. So it's 2 inches on centers and 1.5 inch on centers this way. And just draw them in. They don't have to be super accurate because we're going to be putting a shield on top of it anyway, and these are going to be mostly oversized holes. Okay, we got our holes here. We got basically the 3 red lights. Then down here we're going to be putting a bolt and a periscope shooter over there, as we see over there. And then on this side we're going to have a bolt as well, and also a flange for a periscope shooter, just like we have on a picture. Any picture will do. Now we drill them out. See these little bolts over here on the side? Those are like, I call them little Herman Munster bolts. They look like Frankenstein bolts on the side of a neck. Basically, they're basically some nuts and bolts you can put together. What I did, I just took a nut and a screw, and I took a plumbing cap over here, just drilled out the middle, pop it in. That gives you a big bolt right away. We're going to be painting it anyway. You put a bolt on there, and that's very close to what we got over there. Those will be going over here and over here. So I drilled these extra big because those 2 little lights over there are going to be the little red lights you see on IG-11 when he goes into battle mode. He's a pretty badass dude, so they're a little bit larger on this mock-up because after this is all done, we're going to be putting a little fascia shield right on top. This is typically 3-inch aluminum or so. You get this at Home Depot or Lowe's. I cut it to about 3.5 inches. Cut to about 3.5 inches over here. And then you just take a strip, and this gets mounted over there once we cut respective holes in there. Not so bad so far. This guy's going to be coming to life, you'll see. And after you hog out those holes, just bang the edges in a little bit, because when you put that shield on, you want to make sure nothing sticks out. What you do is just tape the sheet aluminum. Once the sheet aluminum is taped on here, you just do a temporary tape over here. You wrap it on there where you want it to be, and just take a marker and you mark those little sections that you had cut out in the steel. You got a cup, you got one over there, and you got the big ones over here, and over here as well. Okay, and just mark it so that when you take the aluminum off, just take the tape off. And exactly, you know where to punch the holes out. These holes again will be for the lit eyes, I think they're eyes, or the headlights of the IG-11. Just take your old style Whitney hole puncher, put in the proper insert, which is, we're going to use the biggest one over here, and that'll come close to the little openings on the side of IG-11's head. So let's do it. What a pretty little face that is. Yeah, what a pretty little face. Oh yeah. Okay, once you have it lined up, you just tape it on the back over here. And how we're going to hold this in, this is aluminum, this is steel. Can't really weld that too easily, at least with basic welding equipment. So what are we going to do? Well, you use a primitive caveman way. We're going to pop it, bang, 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 bang. Hold this sucker together, and that way, this guy has a pretty face forever.
Okay, we got a pop rivet. Pop that little baby right in there, I think. There we go. Okay, put this puppy on here. There we go. Pop rivet number 1. And that beautiful face still intact. Nice stitches, eh?
Okay, here we just take a lock washer. Looks like a lock washer on a movie. We just pop it open a little bit, pop it on. Okay, time for this guy's cyboscope. It's simply some brass tubing with some of the 3/4 inch plastic tubing that we got at the beginning. Put some kind of a bolt in there with a big head. Made these out of foam over here. That's a little flange. So the flange just sticks right on top there. And then we could stick this in here and then just screw it in. The reason I made these flanges out of foam was because it kind of has to conform to the curvature of this guy. So this way I could just like glue it down over here and then fill this in with a little bit of caulking, and then you're all set. Custom made flange. Okay, as you see, we just like tighten this thing down, and then we put a little bit of black paint inside there, and we got a cyboscope. We cut that tape off, and we're all set. And we just glue these down over here and fill this in with caulking. It'll look great. There we go. IG-11's lights are pretty easy. You just take some bingo chips, some red ones, because he's got red lights. You take them, snap them off, and what you do is hot melt them from the inside. And you got 1, 2, 3 beautiful lights, and sometimes they scarily go on. And now for his left side flange. You take a little section out, 1/2 inch about, out of 3/4 inch plastic tubing. Just cut a piece off and super glue it on there. I put a little washer to give it that little sinister metal look when you look inside. That's all you need. This is the foam piece we put on earlier. Afterwards, I'm just going to fillet this in to make it nice and smooth and look like a pipe flange. Same thing goes for this guy over here as well. And now we just drill a little hole right on top of his noggin so we can put all the pieces together. Each of the parts actually gets a hole right in the middle, like that. So at the end, we'll put a long big bolt in and hold the whole thing together with a few wing nuts. So here's what a stack up looks like first. Our bottom base over here, which was cut. Put it over there. Then we got our whole section over here, which goes on top of his neck. Then we got an inside bucket over here because you see a little bit of swivel on the inside, so we need the inside area. And then we got the head, or the top portion of the head. Now, as you see, this really has to stick up like this because we want to put the eyes right over here. So in order to do that, we need to cut a little disc out of plastic or wood or anything you got here so it sits on top of here and sits on top of this can. So let's do that. Just put it on a plastic base. You're about 1/8, about 1/2 inch over here. Draw a circle. It'll be really crude, doesn't make a difference. You won't be seeing it from the outside anyway. So we got our little pickguard plastic over here. You can use anything, like I said, a little piece of wood, piece of aluminum. This happens to be a pickguard material for any of you musicians out there, but I had it lying around. Yeah, I know it's a little bit overkill, but what the hell. So we put our first base down over here. Then we take our top bucket over here. We put the inside on. Everything's got a hole in it. This now has a hole in it also. Pop this puppy in. Now for the beautiful face here. And we're all set. And now all we gotta do is put his eyeballs on and he's complete. From Home Depot, we got 1/4 inch by 36 inch long rod. It's basically like a giant screw. We're just putting it straight through and it'll hold the whole thing together with nuts. And for a little bit of added effect, why not? We want to make sure we got some red light in there, so I picked up a bowl from Home Depot. And basically, you don't want any LEDs in there. You want something backlit to make it nice and subdued, just like it is on a real robot. Just for effect, if you want to do something cool and you're electrical, to make sure it's safe, I plan on putting a little bulb in here to light up the eyes. A little bit of nylon tie wrap over here, wire it through the can down below. Make sure you put a strain relief on the end, at the exit points after you put a cord on there, and you should be just fine. As far as these makeshift flanges, all you gotta do is take some painter's caulk and just smooth around the sides over there that I did, and the same thing on the other side. And that way you can make it look like a real metal flange here. Just fill it in, put a little fillet in there, and it's all sealed up. Let it dry, next stop, put on the top. Now remember, before you put the cap on, make sure you have this long screw rod goes through the entire assembly and is fastened on the bottom and the top with a screw, and then that's the way you clamp the entire sandwich together. This is readily available at Lowe's for a couple of bucks, not too bad. Just make sure after you put the sealant on there, you smooth and use your finger to just like smooth it around and create like a little fillet in there. You do the same thing with the flange fillets and the pieces of hose there. And of course you do the same thing on the other side as well with this flange and that flange over there. So you have a perfect sealing area there and a perfect fillet. This dries and then you can paint it and do whatever you want with it. Okay, first thing we're going to do is use hammered Rust-Oleum, hammered finished enamel to do all the little detail work. When I mean detail work, I mean this is going to be done in a two-stage process. We're going to paint it a little bit in little areas and little nooks and crannies. And after that, we're going to give it a nice spray with the same kind of paint, just in a spray form. Same stuff as this, just spray can. So, as you know, we got these googly eyes over here. They were made out of the 3/4 inch shark bite tubing, wood blocks over here, a little piece of pick guard that I have, and then we got this little piece of aluminum that I bought. It's just scrap aluminum. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the eyes. It's kind of cool not having to bolt it down anywhere, because technically these should be all over this guy's head. So what I do, I just do a little catch angle over here, and I put it in wherever I think is cool. Pop it in like this, and these googly eyes are googling. I think we got ourselves a robot head. Nice.